Hey, welcome back to Real Takes, where we are all movie love all the time, with no spoilers and no plot recaps. I'm Stott, and we are still in the time of Capricorn, so tonight we are celebrating Capricorn filmmaker Steven Soderbergh. Steven Soderbergh exploded onto the filmmaking scene in 1989 with the film Sex, Lies, and Videotape, which won him a Best Screenwriting Oscar and the Palme d'Or at Cannes, and starred James Spader, Andie MacDowell, Laura San Giacomo in a breakout role, and Peter Gallagher. I remember I was 19 at the time and had been raised on 1980s sort of Technicolor melodrama. It wasn't technically Technicolor, but it was bright, shiny films being made in the 80s, and action movies and teen romances a la John Hughes. I hadn't really become a film nerd yet. And I remember sitting in the theater watching Sex, Lies, and Videotape and feeling like I hadn't seen anything like it. And the truth is, I hadn't seen anything like it. I now know there were already other things like it, but he shifted the spectrum of what was happening in filmmaking in the late 80s. And he has been making films ever since, consistently, and he has been pushing himself technically and pushing, himself in terms of how he tells stories and what kinds of stories he tells. Although it is interesting to note that he's a Capricorn, and Capricorns are workers. They're the goat, and they're very much about work and money and power. And a huge percentage of Steven Soderbergh's filmography is based around work and money and power. So, and a lot of it illegal work, a lot of robbers getting together, planning robberies kind of movies. Now, that genre has a long history in the United States, but he's making those films on a regular basis with a lot of attention to the minutia of the work. What is the work? Who has to do what work? How will the work work? So yeah, and I feel like he has a huge talent with ensemble pieces. He makes a lot of films with big casts or different plot lines intersecting from different places. Most famously, I think he made Traffic in 2000 about the industry of drugs between Mexico and the United States, with three different groups of people highlighting different aspects of the war on drugs that doesn't work and didn't work. I don't know. Does the government still have a war on drugs going on? I don't know. And, interweaving those stories so deftly. So big ensemble pieces, lots of stuff about work, money, and power. And that brings me to the film I want to talk about tonight, which is Let Them All Talk from 2000, starring Meryl Streep, Dianne Weist, Candice Bergen, and Lucas Hedges, which is also about work and money and power, and how money and power can impact friendship. So Meryl Streep plays a very successful writer who is being given an award in England, and she invites her two oldest friends, who she hasn't seen in many years, to take the Queen Mary across the ocean to be with her when she accepts this award. And they shot most of the movie in 8 days on the Queen Mary crossing the ocean. And to shoot the majority of a feature-length film in 8 days is just unheard of. Even the lower budget films that I've talked about on this show shot their films in 23 days, 25 days, 21 days. And the average Hollywood film gets shot more like 30 to 40 days. If it's an action film, that's a whole other set of circumstances and day counts that go on. But to make that much of a film in that short a time was a huge feat. And again, this is the kind of thing that Steven Soderbergh sometimes challenges himself to do. Like, okay, can we shoot most of a movie actually on the Queen Mary in 8 days? Not only that, all of the dialogue was improvised. So they had a script that had the plot points of what was supposed to be covered in each scene, but there was no written dialogue. And the actors improvised all of it, which Meryl Streep in an interview said was terrifying. She said, you worked all day, every day, because they only had 8 days, and then you crawled into bed and you looked over what you were going to be doing the next day, and you went to sleep anxious and terrified that you weren't going to be able to come up with anything to do. So when a veteran actor like that describes the process like that, you know it was challenging. Now, I feel like this film was really overlooked. It came out during the pandemic. That's rough. And it was not loved by the critics. And part of it I understand, you know, as I've said, Soderbergh sometimes has such an individual cinematic style, and he uses visual techniques and editing techniques to kind of highlight narrative and character in really exciting ways. And he didn't engage in any of that here. And so there was sort of disappointment from some reviewers about that. I tend to think that part of the reason it was overlooked is that it's a film about 3 women of a certain age who are grappling with their lives and their friendship with each other. And there isn't some contrived comedic device about how they all end up in romances. It's just a quiet drama about their lives and their relationships and who they think they are versus who they think they are to each other, and what they really are to each other. And what I feel is I see Soderbergh trusting them and just letting them bring forth in their characters and in the story whatever they brought forth. And I feel like there's a deep, quiet power in this film. I mean, first of all, as an actor myself and as a film lover, to watch these 3 great actresses. I mean, obviously Meryl Streep gets to work a lot, but Dianne Weist and Candice Bergen are so underused. So underused. Okay, I had to come back in because I go on to talk about how much I like watching them work together, but I realize maybe some people don't know who Dianne Weist and Candice Bergen are. I mean, I'm assuming everyone knows who Meryl Streep is. She has arguably the longest, most successful, one of the most highly awarded acting careers in the history of American cinema. She's turned in incredible performances across genre, from drama to comedy to musicals, and is still going strong. So I'm hoping that we all are on the same page about Meryl Streep. But Dianne Weist came up in the late 70s and early 80s, and it's interesting researching for this. I thought that she did this string of Woody Allen films first, and then that sort of launched her, but she was actually doing films before that. So she was Laurie Singer's mother in Footloose, and she was in Independence Day, and then she did a string of Woody Allen films, Hannah and Her Sisters, Radio Days, and then a few years later, so phenomenally, Bullets Over Broadway. And if you're not into Woody Allen these days, if you're not watching his films, I respect that choice and understand that choice. Do yourself a favor, go to YouTube and watch some Dianne Weist clips from Bullets Over Broadway where she plays a grande dame of, 1930s Broadway. It's a sight to behold. She's won 2 Oscars, and she works regularly, but not enough for my taste, given her talent and how much I enjoy her sensibility on screen. she's a little typecast with this kind of quirky vulnerability, and she has said that she just wants to play like a stone cold killer so she could show everyone that she can do that. And I believe she could. I believe she could do more than just play a stone cold killer. I don't know if she could kill anybody, but I believe she could take you down in a back alley if she had to. So I just love it whenever Dianne Weist is in something, because I love watching her work. I love how she finds her characters. I just enjoy her so much. And more Dianne Weist, please. And Candice Bergen made her big screen debut in 1966 in the Sidney Lumet film The Group, which is about a group of women who graduate from a, only slightly veiled Vassar college, and all the sort of ways their lives are complicated and go apart from each other. And she plays a character who goes off to Switzerland and becomes lovers with a Swiss baroness or something. She went on to work with Mike Nichols and Lena Wertmuller and other great directors of film. And then in the 80s, she had a hit TV show called Murphy Brown, which was huge at the time. Huge. I don't even know what to compare it to, because our culture was so different around TV then. But huge actress. She's probably best known right now in this moment as the corrupt director of a beauty pageant in Miss Congeniality, and then the fictional mayor of New York City in Sweet Home Alabama, which are both really fun turns too. But I mean, this is an actress with a long, deep career who's not being used enough. More Candice Bergen. Okay, back to our regularly scheduled programming. And to watch the three of them working together is like excitement enough for me. I'll take that any day. And some of the choices they make and the moments they have with each other are so surprising and enjoyable and smart. They're all so smart that I'm all in. And then the issues they're grappling with are real. I mean, I don't have any of those particular circumstances in my life, but, we all have friendships that end up somewhere we didn't think they would end up, and then have to look at how they got there. And I feel like this story really reflects that reality in a beautiful, simple way, without dressing it up or making it pretty. There's a conflict toward the end of the film that the film builds toward that I found devastating. So I feel like this film is really powerful and contains so much great acting work and deeply moved me and stayed with me. I thought about it. I think about it. I'm doing a whole show about it. So I want everyone to see Let Them All Talk and talk about it. So if you've seen it, comment below. If you haven't seen it, go see it. Come back, comment below. But please watch Let Them All Talk. And happy birthday, Steven Soderbergh. Thank you for all your beautiful work that you've given to the world. We are grateful. And I will see you all next Wednesday. Thanks for watching Real Takes. Hit the subscribe button below so the algorithms will tell you when new episodes are out. And if you want to support Real Takes, please visit my Patreon page where you can join at any tier from $2 to $100 per thing I make. The $15 tier is specifically about supporting Real Takes, and you'll get behind the scenes information and be thanked in future videos. See you next Wednesday.